Well, it's desperation mode for this flip. This is actually the third flip that we purchased, but the unfortunate part is it's the end of October 2024, and I bought this in like February, March, I think March, with a hard money loan. So many of you have been following me. This is a project that got red tagged by the city. I'm gonna break that down too. So I'm actually gonna show you all of the correspondence back and forth. It's been a major pain in the ass. And we're finally almost done. So next week, this thing should be basically wrapped up. So we're kind of in desperation mode. What I'm gonna do in this video is all right, I got some breaking news. I shot this intro a couple days ago. Things have changed, and not for the better. So I've actually got a bunch of text messages right here from a real estate agent down in that area who basically says, yo homie, the best you're looking at for a 2-1 down there is $140,000, and it's probably not going to sell till February. And rental-wise, $1,300. So we kind of ran into a shitstorm here. I'm going to fully document the house. In fact, we're going to go right back out there, and then we'll talk to the realtor. We're going to talk to Hard Money Joe, break down numbers, scenarios, exit strategies. It's a fire sale, y'all. I haven't even been in this house. It's the first time I've been down here in months. So I'm gonna check it out for myself, give you my live reaction. You guys can see the updated process. And then I've been talking, actually the funny thing is I sold that second flip in the Baytown area, and the buyer's agent, I was talking to him a bunch about some stuff, and he's born and raised in this area, so he knows it like the back of his hand. He's coming today in a little bit to give me a price on this. I don't know if I can make any money on this anymore. We've had it so long. But the good news is I think we can break even or make a little bit of money, which at this point I don't care. I just want to get like the money that I put into it back. That would be great so I can move on. But I might actually turn it into a rental too. So I'm going to talk with Hard Money Joe about turning this into a rental, because I could actually do a cash out refi, do what's called a DSCR 30-year loan on this thing, maybe pull my cash out, slap a renter in it, and then I can use it for tax purposes or whatever, cost segregation study. So this is gonna be a little bit of a desperation mode. Later in this video, the realtor hasn't even showed up yet, but in the video you guys will see it. He's gonna give me his honest opinion of what he thinks he could sell it at. And again, he's born and raised in this area. He also came up with some stuff too. So we changed a lot about this house, and a lot of it had to do with the permitting issues, dealing with them. Again, I'll show that correspondence. It's been tough. So what I want to do, I want to walk you in through this, and we're just going to check this out together, and then I'll let you know all of the changes, additions, subtractions that we've done. So all right, so what we're going to do, I'm going to take you outside or inside that house, but real quick, I'm just going to call this real estate agent, and we're going to just talk to him, see what we can do about this property. So I'm going to give him a call real quick. So hopefully he answers.
What's up, bud?
Giovanni, what's happening, my guy?
Not much, man. Just here getting ready to go to an appointment. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, man. I just wanted to touch base with you real quick. I was kind of running numbers on that house and just wanted to get your honest opinion on it. So I think at like 140, 137-ish, 135, like I can break even, which is great. At this point, I just need to get my capital out of there,
okay,
and move on. But you think at 140, it's going to probably sit a couple months?
Yeah, because right now, to be honest with you, so the market in Baytown in general, it always slows down after October. And really in Baytown, you don't have people who are looking for a 2-1, even for starter homes.
Yeah.
So that's mainly the problem that you're going to run into. Now, somebody who's an investor might pick it up, but they're probably going to be more like in the 130, 135 price range.
Okay.
And even then, I can't guarantee that it'll move quick.
Yep.
So that's kind of like the issue that you have there. Really in Baytown, man, it's a good buy and hold, right? But if you want to do a flip, definitely try to stick to at least a 3-2
yeah,
or a 3-1 that you can convert into a 3-2.
Yeah, so that's what we were doing, was converting it to a 3-2, but it just, dude, working with that city down there was not easy.
Oh, yeah. Baytown, they're freaking assholes, to be honest with you.
It was so difficult, and I finally just kind of like tucked my tail between my legs, and it just the time to do it all and what they require to build down there. I mean, it was like we were building the Taj Mahal down there, and it was just a little garage, basically, studio. So our goal was a 3-2, but it just didn't happen, and I just want to kind of move on from it. So I just wanted to touch base with you on that.
When do you think it'll be completed?
I think probably this week. Countertops are supposedly going on tomorrow. My numbers are real tight. Like, I mean, I gotta
Jackson, give me just a second here. I'll put you on hold. I have a client who we have an inspection report conversation real quick.
Yeah, dude, you're good. Actually, you can hit me up a little later. I got enough. I'm just kind of like voicing through you, and maybe you can text me later, kind of your thoughts or whatever.
Gotcha. I'll call you right back right after this. Okay.
All right, man.
Awesome.
Bye. So let me show you the text conversation I had with him too. So I hit him up, and you want to talk about getting excited. So I just finished walking. It's a little bright, huh? I just finished walking home, and what numbers are you hunting for? And I was like, that's what I need to know from you. Give me your thoughts. What's the best price to list it, to try and make as much money as possible, but also sell it really fast? I wouldn't want to sit on it that long. He said 150 to 160K. I sold something just like it for 166. I don't know why that's so bright, but you guys can see it. And I was like, oh, really? A 2-1? He's like, a 3-1. Oh, I thought it had a third bedroom. I was wrong. I was like, yeah, no. So he's like, a 2-1, you're looking at 140K. Probably won't sell until after February. Rental-wise, 100 or 13. So rental-wise, 1,300. So I was like, why Feb? Anyways, I was like, what if I fire sale this thing at 140? So you guys just heard the conversation, and that's what he's kind of thinking. So here's what I'm going to do for you guys. I don't know what I'm going to do with it yet, but got some great people. So Hard Money Joe been pivotal to this whole channel success, to my success, and he's going to break down probably 2-3 different scenarios of what I can do with this property. So if you guys run into this, now, in fact, down in the description, if I forget, just comment or email me. My email's anywhere, and I'll get you the calculator. But it's a flip calculator, and so we can actually run the numbers on what we'll make, profit or break even or lose money on the flip, on turning it into how to turn it into a rental with a 30-year DSCR loan. We'll go through that whole entire process. In fact, we'll do that at the end. What we'll do is we'll go back out and we'll tour the house. You guys can take a peek at it, look at it. It actually is looking pretty nice, and then the important part, breaking down the numbers. So I'm a rookie flipper. You're going to hear me ask a lot of rookie questions to Joe, stuff I just don't grasp, things I forget because I've had this one so long. And by the end of it, you're going to have probably the best explanation of what you can do with these properties, if you get yourself into a bind. So let's go tour that property. You guys check it out, and then we'll go and we'll break it down, and every single number down to the wire, and we'll figure out what we can do with this thing. And if you haven't yet, make sure that you guys hit that like button, show your ground up house flipper a little bit of love. We got actually a lot more projects coming up, so I'm going to try and recoup some of my money from these projects. I got 3 of them going. I did the math today. We got about $80,000 out there on these. It would be nice to get even just that back. We've got some profits looming on maybe 2 of them. This one, probably not going to make any money, may lose a little bit. You'll find that out. So hit the like button. I'm appreciating all your guys' comments and reach outs, and then subscribe. I am just documenting my entire house flipping business from the ground up. So and again, at the end of this, you're going to know how to base these numbers. You're going to get the free calculators, flip calculators, all down in the description. So let's head back out there. First and foremost, the one thing that I forgot to tell you guys is that we had to actually put a brand new roof on here. We had a hurricane barrel come through. You can see some of the branches. There's actually still some dead ones hanging, and this thing took damage. We were shut down by the city, so it actually sat for a couple months, whatever. And so we didn't come here, and there was some branches that impaled themselves, and it started leaking all over in the house. So that was great. So there was so much damage on it, and then I couldn't use the. You have to get builder's risk insurance for any of these flips. And the deductible was going to be about the same or a little bit more, actually, because I think it's basically 10% of the price. I think the insurance we got was about, for 140 grand of coverage, so it'd have been 14,000 deductible. It's for major shit, right? And it didn't cost us that much, so we had to eat that cost, but we're going to save some costs and some other stuff, and I think it's all going to be a wash. So at least it does have a brand spanking new roof, and then we obviously painted it. It looks good. So let's go inside. Some workers here. I don't want to scare them. I'll turn you around, just give you my reaction. It looks pretty awesome. I almost forgot what it looked like. So we got all this done, and when we got shut down last time, the cabinets were just sitting over here, and they'd been sitting there custom for months. So that kind of ticked me off, pissed me off. Oh, I thought that was a huge dent, but it's not. Obviously, these are all primed, getting ready to paint. The flooring is supposed to go in early next week, and the tile shower. So the drywall, tape, texture, mud, and paint is all done from what I see, and it turned out great. So all that's done. The ceiling, we got the can lights in there. So all the can lights are done. We got a nice new ceiling fan. It feels super level in here. This is a house, I don't know if you guys remember, if you knew, we ended up having to come in. They put a bunch of like 5 piers all around this side of the house and lift it up because it used to slant down really, really bad. But it feels really level, really solid right now. But man, if you guys remember, in fact, why don't we real quick, we'll snap back this kitchen of what it used to look like. So as you can see, we busted that out and just really opened this up, the custom cabinet. I think this thing's gonna be cute. I think it's gonna be a looker when it's all done. We're gonna go with like a LVP vinyl flooring. I think it's gonna just really look good, you know? It actually makes it a lot bigger. I remember how cramped it was in here, and it's still not a big home. It's been so long, I can't remember. I think it's only 900 square feet or 800 square feet maybe. And it's only a 2-bedroom. Remember, if you guys have been following me, we were gonna add a mother-in-law quarter garage in the back. We tore that down. That's actually what sparked the whole getting tagged by the city. You know, and it's funny, I've been thinking about this one so much lately because I'm like, God, I just wanna get it done. It's been forever, you know? Now we're going on 7-8 months. So not only the hard money payments on that, but it just sucks holding on to properties that long, especially when they're this freaking small. And I was like, man, I don't know if I remember running the numbers, but we got it for $44,000. I probably could have like just wholetailed it, like sold it maybe for 70, 80 grand. And made 30, 40, I don't know. But we thought, you know, we would redo that garage, make it a mother-in-law quarter, and we could really boost the value of this thing and make a good, you know, 40 to 60K profit. But again, now we're trying to break even. I think there's still a little room. I think we got it for 42. All said and done, the budget's gonna be about 70, so we're at like 110. If this thing can sell in the 140s, I don't know if it can. You know, with realtor fees and stuff, there's still a little bit of wiggle room in there. Maybe, you know, 5, 10, 15 grand to, you know, for profit. You know, we got the hard money payments are about $1,000 a month, so that's gonna be 7, 8, 9 grand right there. You know, it's just, again, this is the third one I'd ever gone into. Our thought process, sorry, I'm like just vocalizing a lot. You're gonna go through this too, flipping houses, like shoulda, woulda, couldas, but our thought process is we did the first one, the really big one, and then, you know, I was like, man, these things are 700, 800. My contractor goes so fast, like he could knock this thing out. We literally would have been done like 2.5 weeks, 2.5, 3 weeks. So it would have been amazing. Everything happened, then the storms happened, then we bought the fourth flip, which that one's listed. I actually went there today and picked up all the staging. It's still for sale, but the staging was our personal furniture, if you guys remember, and I'm tired of not having that shit in my house. It's been 2 months. We got actually a couple more showings today. I'm hoping you guys throw me out some prayers to sell that one. It's a nice house. We're getting great feedback, I think, just right now with the elections and everything. Just nobody's buying, you know, it's just crazy. Very slow market, but this thing, I think it's looking really good. I love it. So I'll take you, they're back there working. There's not too much to see. We changed this too. Now the fridge is in here. That looks good. Gonna be some cabinets. And then just looking real quick. So they're doing the tile showers, and that is a waterproofing membrane. So they're getting ready to tile that. Bedroom 1 with a closet. Everything is all tape, texture, floated, painted. So the flooring will go in, I believe, Monday. And we got another room here. Again, closet. So I believe there was an old closet here that we obviously walled off. That needs to be, this whole section still needs to be painted, but they're getting there. But this is all done. So now I'm gonna talk about the big changes that we did. So what happened was we were demoing that freaking garage, and that's what the city saw. And so they shut us down, right? Red tagged us. Well, it took me a month or month and a half to finally get like approval, like a work permit, right? And then from there, what's really been going on, as you can see, we tore that down. We went through everything to get this replaced. And then my contractor comes out here one day, he's like, hey, if we go back where the garage is, you know, they're saying we can't do it. It's only 2 feet from the fence. And I'm like, well, then just push it over. And he's like, well, if you do that, then we got to redo all this. You'd have to drive back through the lawn and stuff, and it's just not going to work out. See if we can go back where it was. So I'm calling the city, talking to them. They're like, no, you got to be 6 feet away. I'm like, well, the old garage was freaking 2 feet away. They're like, well, it's what's going in new. So I hate saying it, but like working with them, and especially here, I have heard of other areas. In fact, our other flip floor, you work with the city of Spring. They're like, great, this whatever, go ahead. You know, like this one down here is notorious from what I hear. They'll show up. We actually had them come up multiple times for inspections. One time there was like wire hanging down, and so they didn't pass it. And they come in and go. They don't tell you when you're coming, so you can't just fix it real quick. And then you got to completely reschedule, and it took like, you know, a week and a half, 2 weeks to get them out. So I think they're, I don't know how you say it other than just fucking saying it. Like, I think they're just trying to be a pain in the ass. So we have done inspection after inspection. And so what it came down to was like, no, we can't, you know, the fence is right there, so we got to move it over. Well, it doesn't make sense. So I hit up the realtor who's coming today, Giovanni, and I'm like, yo, homie, you live in this area. The garage is going to cost us, you know, $8,000, and I don't even think we can put a garage door in there because we'd have to move it over so far. We can't build it up as an ADU. To do an ADU here, I call it an ADU from the Northwest, but a mother-in-law quarter, we were going to do the master bedroom and laundry room and all that in there. It would have been, you know, 10 grand or whatever, but the permitting for it, holy shit, it was like we were building a skyscraper in New York City. The amount of permitting and the shear walls and the amount of nails that you put per square inch, it was unbelievable. So I was like, you know what, is that really gonna help us? Now that would have boosted the sales a little bit, but then I was like, all right, let's just rebuild the garage. So we went through all the shit to get the garage built, and it's just a pain in the ass. And I'm like, okay, that's gonna cost that much extra. We had to do a whole new ceiling. We had to do a lot of new electrical and plumbing because once we got tagged by the city, they're like, everything's gotta go. So we basically had to rewire and replumb the whole house. Again, kind of a pain in the ass. So we had those accelerated costs. I was like, hey, Jovan, you know, like if we get rid of this garage, will this place still sell? He goes, yeah, dude. He goes, by adding that, you're not adding a lot of value. I've lived here my whole entire life. That side of the street or that side of the road, he goes, is the driveway long enough for people to park? I'm like, yeah, it's super long. He goes, as long as they can pull in and park, maybe you can put a carport or something, but he goes, it's not gonna fetch you a bunch of extra value. He goes, these people will just, you know, on this side, they're workers. They just need places to park their trucks. So as you can see, I mean, this driveway is probably, no bullshit, 100 feet long. And what we're gonna do when it all said and done is we're gonna bring in some loads of gravel and just make this a big gravel area. I'm not even gonna put up a lean-to because whoever buys it, if they want to, they can do that quick. But we wanna just get completely past with the city, call it good, move on, be done. So we're gonna actually just gravel this. I think it'll be a huge long driveway for them to enjoy. They'll have plenty of space back here. They can build their own, and then we'll finish the house. And again, I'm hoping to, I mean, if this thing could sell in maybe in the 140s hot and fast, I think I'd sell it. If not, you guys will have to subscribe and keep following along. I might have to just turn it into a rental, you know? So it sucks that I would put custom cabinets and do all that in a lower end area to rent because they'll probably get thrashed, but you kind of just got to do what you got to do. So I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Basically the big things are, we're going to finish that interior. We're going to remove all of that and gravel it, and hopefully by next week I'll be doing my final draw. So we've already done a draw for about $35,000 on this house. That was about 4 or 5 months ago when we were just hauling ass. So there's another 35,000 or so that we have to draw out that I got to get to my contractor. So that'll finish everything too. And I mean, that's been the money out of his pocket that he hasn't had. So what's up, Jetty Bug? You did get a new bike, and then my wife's garage sailing all over Baytown, so she found him. Check it. Okay, hold on, bud. Looks really good. It's cute, huh? It's way bigger in here. I think the cabinets turned out great. I love that little built-in there too. So, and they're tiling the shower, and the floors go in Monday or Tuesday, he said. Not bad, huh? It's gonna be cute. You can hear it in my wife's voice. You don't give a shit about this thing anymore, do you? What? You don't give a shit about this flip no more, do you? I don't really either. I can hear it in her. She's just like, cool, cool. Like, this is one you just kind of want to get rid of, and I've heard this a million times. All right, we got to check it out. Your Hot Wheels?
$10.
Dang, bro. Look at that. It's got a tachometer. Turbo. Come on, that's sick.
I mean, for $10.
Maybe.
You don't need those.
But anyways, I don't know. Again, we have other jobs. This isn't like everything we do, so it's a little easier for us to just kind of like, not the money wise of it, but to just move on from this stuff. Our passion, I think, is going to be doing higher end flips. That's just going to be our thing going forward. But you still got to get these gone. So I'm really hoping, and then like by next week we can, you know, really know more. But today, here in a little bit, at the end of this video, I'll talk to that real estate agent, and we'll get his insight on what he thinks we could sell this thing for. So other than that, you know what? I learned a shitload from this. And if I got to work with cities or anything again, like I know exactly how to do that. And I'm going to tell you right now, you don't fuck around and go on the websites and do all that. Drive your ass in there and talk to him face to face. You get that stuff done within an hour that may take you 3 months to do it. So now it's been a lot of face to face. My contractor has been in and out of that office probably 50 times, you know, working with them and well, trying to work with them. But it's still, you know what? It's a nice little flip. The house turned out cute. It's a massive lot. You never know. This thing could make us a millionaire. But it could make us some money, you know what? And it's an invaluable lesson we've learned here. So that's kind of the way that we got to look at this one. And if we don't lose any money, shit, that's a win, right? So, all right, I got a lot to show you guys in the studio. We're gonna break down the costs of this, what I've spent on it so far. I'll talk a little bit more about the city. And then we're also gonna talk to the real estate agent on what we can sell this thing for. And then hopefully I'll talk with Hard Money Joe and we'll run the numbers on if we sell it. Once I know exactly how much I'm into this thing and what he thinks he could sell it for versus what it looks like if I were to just say, screw it, I'll do a cash out or I'll do a DSCR loan and I'll rent this thing out. What does that look like? So this is house flipping from the ground up if you've ever seen it before. And guys, if you would, you know, hit that like button and subscribe if you want to see like a beginner's view of house flipping. You know, I'm documenting this whole process. We got a shitload more coming up. We got 2 more properties that Hard Money Joe and I are looking at to do some wholetailing, do some more flipping and stuff. So we'll be dragging this camera around. You guys hit that like button if you're enjoying it, and then make sure you subscribe. Don't miss these videos. So let's head on into the studio and crank some numbers, homies. Hi, man, what's up?
Not much, man. Just had to talk one of my clients off the ledge.
That's what I'm talking about. So any of my viewers though that need a real estate agent down in Baytown, this is the guy, Giovanni. I'm putting you on the channel. So yeah, dude, I don't know. I think at this point I'm just kind of like, because even holding it as a rental, I've got so much into it. If I do a 30-year loan, I wouldn't get any of it back out. So my goal would be to kind of just like cut ties.
Hard money on it right now?
Yeah, hard money.
Okay.
And then I ran all the numbers for doing a DSCR loan today. And actually, I mean, the number, I would rent it and make, you know, cash flow a couple $100, but it's just not something I really other projects.
I got you, man.
If it's doable.
Yeah, I mean, only thing that I can tell you is, I mean, just throw it up on the market and see if you get a hit. Yeah. I personally don't think you'll get one right now simply because of the timing. But I have 2 investors on that side of town that might be interested. I can't guarantee anything, but because of the 2-1 situation.
Yep.
But yeah, I'll see what I can do to help you out for sure.
Okay, cool. Yeah, throw it their way, see what they would say. But yeah, I might just have to kind of put it up there and see what kind of bites we get, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so now the best part is running the numbers with Hard Money Joe. You're going to want to watch this. Trust me, you want to get notepad, paper, take notes, and then down in the description below, I already have the flip calculator, the one that I use all the time. I'll try to remember to link his the new calculator that he shows on here. It is amazing. But he also said if anybody needs it, just reach out. So you can just email me. Everybody emails me anyways. I can get you over to Hard Money Joe. And then if you have any questions, you know, if you are looking to get a loan on a flip, he's got connections across the country. He may be able to help find a good, because once you watch him on this video, you're gonna be like, that's the person I need in my corner. That's why he's been so pivotal to my business. And so, you know, we're trying to help, you know, as many people as we can. Reach out to me for that calculator and for Hard Money Joe. But let's watch the good part of the video, or maybe the bad part. Yeah, we got to break down Homan first.
That one's been a bit of a pain, huh?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's just taken so long that I think it's gonna have to start getting into the world of like either fire sale, or, you know, what you've talked about, you know, doing DSCR loan and holding it as a rental, which I don't really want to hold a rental down there, but I will, and it does help me with tax purposes. So it is like, I don't even know if the numbers work, but yeah. So what happened was I went over there, I checked it. Actually, this week it's basically looking like it's going to be done. except for maybe some small minor stuff. But countertops go in tomorrow. I'll probably do my
Okay.
final draw tomorrow, which I've already drawn out 35,000, and then the remaining is about 39.
Yep.
Now we didn't build the garage, so there was things we took away, but it's going to be about a wash with the budget because when Beryl came through, it destroyed the roof, and so we had to completely redo the roof and that and some what do you call the plywood and stuff.
Okay. Yeah.
Trees, branches went through, it was leaking all over the house, so they had to redo that. So that's, I mean, roofs. That even a cheap roof I found 5 to 7 grand.
So originally there was no budget in there to replace the roof.
No, because the roof was fine, but that hurricane came through and tore a ton of the shingles off, and then branches went through it.
Yeah. So there's no way
And
around.
it was a wash because I looked into builder's risk insurance, and I think it was 1%, or sorry, 10% is what you have to put down. So I think the coverage was for like 130,000, let's say. So it was like 13 grand to do a claim. Well, a new roof wasn't that much, but I mean, it was still a significant amount. And then once we got popped by the city, they made us basically 100% redo all plumbing, all electrical. So it just like, stuff that we were repairing and fixing, that went away. They had to gut the whole thing and just redo it.
That's sure.
So I've talked, with Ismail about this one. And again, going forward, protection for me, yeah, it's like not partnering with. I know you've partnered with them. I've talked to people, but yeah, it's also you just got to do it yourself, and then get a budget from a contractor. It's the only way to track it like accurately, and
You
then you get
mean
it
instead of doing it, at
splitting it.
cost per se?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's hard to know. I mean,
it is.
you don't know what they're paying their guys. I mean, it's
Well, and
yeah.
it really works out sometimes. So like Shore Acres is not selling, but like he was pot vested in that. I mean, you
Mhm.
know how quick it was like 4 to 5 weeks, and that was a complete. I mean, he had to tear the house down, and it was done. So
Absolutely. And there's some other benefits of partnerships that people don't see, which is like your cash out of pocket. Like I mean, for example, in Florida, right? It went over budget considerably, and that happens a lot. And then anything that goes over budget, you're out of pocket. So when you're splitting it, it's less. So I think what we're going to be like 18K each out of
yep,
pocket or something around those lines. So if you're doing it all on yourself, you're 30 plus out of pocket. So if you're a newer investor, it can really crush your liquidity. And then obviously when they're vested in there, they have more of an interest, so they're a little bit more present. They get the work done quicker. They
yep.
have more of a personal concern. So yeah, there's a lot of pros of
There's actually one
partnering.
more advantage too, which with when I partner with him, I don't need to come out of pocket for any of the budget. Like he's actually
Additional money.
covering all of it, and then I just pay him with the draws. So I never like
Yeah,
physically have to pay any money for, but like when we did Flora, I had to pay 15% up front. So that was like 18,000 bucks, and that he did an amazing job too. So there is pros and cons to it. But then when you get into a situation like I'm in now, it's like I'm
it
now the
hurts
one.
on the ones where the margin is slim at the end too, right? Because if you only end up making 15K and you're walking away with 7 or 8 grand
Yeah.
from that deal, then it kind of hurts because you're like, well, I did all this work, I found the deal, I found the finance for it. It hurts, but yeah, you're right. The liquidity side of things is awesome, and I've partnered many times with contractors, and most of the houses we used to do, I used to partner with Chris and Mike, who we refer out to a lot.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was definitely advantageous to have them part of the deal because it just alleviates that concern. They're always there.
I agree. Let's break
But,
this down.
but yeah, we can dig into the numbers of Holman and then kind of work on what we think the best exit strategy is. Now, you might have to flip to my screen once
Let's
we.
just do it. I'll just let you take control.
Okay, let me just share a screen here.
And so before you get going, let me preface everything with I talked to Giovanni, so the realtor down there in Baytown. He's born and raised. He knows every street. He knows what's going on, the pulse of the market. He went and walked it. And
Okay.
so what he said was basically, hey, I just walked it. What numbers are you shooting for? And I said, well, that's what I need to know from you. Give me your thoughts. What's the best price to list to try to make maybe try and make a little bit of money, but also to sell it really fast. I wouldn't want it to
Yeah.
sit that long. He said 150 to 160. He just sold something similar for 166. So I'm like, hell yeah. Like dude, I'm gonna be in the money. And I'm like, really? For a two bed, one bath? And he's like, oh shit, I thought it was a 3-1. I thought I saw a third bedroom on that. I guess I was wrong. I'm like, yeah, no. Our intention was to build that mother-in-law quarter, but then we got popped. It was two, whatever. And he said for a 2-1, you're looking at 140, and it probably won't sell until after February. Rental wise, possibly 1,300.
Okay, so rents, that's a good thing to know. Rents are 1,300. So what do you want to do first? You want to, I was going to run the kind of profit on
Crunch
it.
all the numbers and just see where I'm at. I
Mhm.
think option one would be fire sale, and people are probably looking at me like I'm fucking crazy, but like it's like once I don't know, never been divorced, but you hear like once it gets to that point, it's just like I just want it done with. I just want to move on. If I can recapture kind of what I put in there
Yep.
and move on, I'm cool with it. But I'll tell you, like, if any of these situations arise again, and if, dude, I feel like nothing scares me anymore. Permits, all that kind of shit. It's really easy to navigate, but doing it your first time, my goodness, that's difficult. So I learned a lot, and if I can get my money back, it's just holding me from doing bigger, better projects at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. This is kind of the story of Baytown, huh? And kind of what happens sometimes on those little, cheaper properties.
Yep.
But yeah, we can dig into these numbers. So let's have a look. So what are we calling? I'll put over here the rents were 1,300. What was our ARV we were going to work off of? And we can
So he said
recall it.
140, but it wouldn't sell till after February. I
40.
said, I said why February, and he said everything slows down on this side of town after the second week of October. Everyone's out of the country or out of the state for vacation, spending money for the holidays. It usually doesn't pick up until February. So I don't know if that is he's just saying Baytown in general or Hispanics, in that area leaving the country. I don't know what he means by that, but he said this side of town they do
Mhm.
that. And I was like, okay, let me run the numbers. I said, so I last minute it, and I'm trying to give you all the info so that you can plug it in.
Absolutely.
And so what I think. Anyways, I was like, dude, do you think I could fire sale it at 135? And he's like, as is. And I'm like, no, fully remodeled. He said at 130, you might be able to pick up an investor quick. Actually, I might have one for you. So
Well, let's just evaluate it and see that.
135, 140 would be like, let's see if it makes numbers. If I could fire sale at 130, and you have a list of investors, people looking for just nice renovated properties, I mean, it might be worth throwing it out.
I wouldn't want to say, necessarily do that until you kind of work all the numbers and see if you're shooting yourself in the foot. I know it's a pain and you want to get rid of it.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, obviously that's an option if it's just like, let's get it done. I'm just sick of this thing and I don't want to hear that street name again. I would say on the holding side of it again, and I do, man, I drive through the city, I'm like, I'll see a street and I'll have like, oh man, that was a nightmare to wholesale. The seller was crazy or pulled a gun on me.
Yep. Or
Um,
that property, yeah, had way more issues than I ever imagined.
yeah, absolutely. And they do. I mean, I think you've seen with every single one, there's one issue or another. That's just the way it is. It's just the hashtag flipped life, right?
Yep.
You always get an issue or two. But what I like about some of these is you can just learn to evaluate the different exit scenarios. And like you said, you don't want to be a landlord right now, but you can also have, good companies that do awesome property management, that you'll never have to
Yeah.
worry about. Like I have this property in Lake Jackson that's been rented for about 3 years, and I've never had one issue. I've never had one item with the tenant. I know she's an air hostess. My property management every now and then will deduct 50 or $100 because there was a little fix they had to make. They go in there every few months, and it's just smooth sailing, right? So having that member on your team, having a quality property manager, will kind of circumvent a lot of those issues that you're fearful that you're going to have on the
Okay.
rentals. Now, I have some nightmare scenarios too. I've got ones, like I told you, I never buy in Bay City anymore because they tear up the house.
Yep.
It doesn't have to be a long-term exit strategy, right? We could even structure the DSCR loan where there's less of a prepayment penalty, right? So most DSCRs they come built in with a 5-year prepay penalty, and I'll kind of put this on the screen. It's called a 54321, and
Okay.
it means in year one, if you sold it, you have a 5% hit on the loan,
So
which is
give me an example at $100,000 loan
yeah. So it would be $100,000 if you sold that in the first year.
and paid the $100,000 loan off.
Yeah, if you just decided like I closed on it and then listed it within the first few months and then sold it, well, these long-term note holders, they want to make their money, right?
Yeah,
So they're going to charge you a prepayment penalty for selling that off.
gotcha.
So in year one, you're paying 5% of that 100,000, right?
All right. So you would pay 5 grand back to the hard money.
Well, this is no longer hard money. This is a 30-year note
Or
holder.
sorry, yes.
Yeah. So hard money
The
lenders
lender.
aren't ever going to lend 30. So kind of the way it works is,
That's a good way to put it too.
yeah, the hard money is what we go out there, we raise capital. It's our money. We have the ability to dictate where we put that money. But on a 30-year note, it's all hedged against interest rates. It's brokered onto the open market, and large institutional investors come in and they invest in these notes. So
Hmm.
we can do the DSCR, but we just broker it out. All the brokers use the same capital and liquidity sources, and basically are just selling the paper. We don't hold that paper. So
Perfect.
we're under the guidelines of what their products that they have, and almost all of the DSCR lenders start off with the best rates at a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, meaning that year one is going to be a 5% hit, year two is going to be a 4% hit, year three, and so on. So
Yep.
after year five, you have no prepay. Now, on that size of a loan, it's not too drastic. You're talking $5,000 if you sold it within 12 months. So sometimes it scares people, but look, if you think, all the indicators are pointing that the market's going to get a little bit better in 2 years, then you just have to take a little bit of, of the pain of having to have that property managed for 2 years and then resell it when you see the market a little bit better, a little bit more buoyant within that price point.
Yep.
And honestly, I've never regretted doing it. I've had a number of flips that have gone wrong, and then I got really lucky when the market got crazy after COVID. So anytime I had a lease renewing, I was just telling people, "Hey, I'm going to list this property. So in 2 months, when your lease renews, I'm going to need to take the property back." And if I gave them enough warning, I mean, a lot of them wanted to stay, but we just gave them proper notification. And then when they vacated, we put it on the market. We sold. We made a lot of money because the market was so crazy,
Yep.
and I didn't lose money. If I would have sold those houses back then, and because they were a pain in the ass, and I wanted to fire sell them, or I went way over budget on the rehab, then I would have lost money. But because I hold them, I made an absolute killing because I waited till the market dictated the right time to sell it.
I have heard some major flippers in podcasts or whatever say the biggest mistake they ever made was selling any of their flips.
It is, and I don't regret it yet. But a lot of those properties I sold during that COVID time, I'll probably regret in a few years because even one right there in Kingwood where I bought that thing for like 160 turnkey, and I can't remember exactly what happened, but I decided to keep it. And at the time, the ARV was probably like 210, 220. I ended up selling that thing for 280. Right, I barely even cleaned it when the tenant,
That is
because the market
amazing.
was crazy. We had like 60 offers in 2 days.
Dude, that's crazy. Well, let's go
So
through
yeah, there's always to keep that. So that's just kind of a touch on the prepay.
yep,
But if we put your ARV in at 140, do you remember how much you bought that house for?
44.
You bought it for 44. And do you remember how much the total escrow was?
I don't remember it's showing like 74,000 for
Okay.
the budget.
So let me just check. I have your thing pulled up here. So the total loan was 113,265.
Yeah, and there's that budget repair right below it, 74.
74. I mean, it's pretty accurate there. So the total loan is 113,265. All right. So these are kind of the numbers, and we're building this actual calculator into the website. But if anyone wants it now, I'm happy to email it to them or whatever. But we're trying to make it as robust as possible and realistic as possible.
So wait, hold on. For our viewers, that was quick. We already have the calculator down below. That's the one I use in this channel all the time. That website, they'll be able to find this flip calculator.
It's not up there yet. But within the next couple of weeks, our
Okay.
developers building it out. We're actually adding this flip profit calculator that'll just allow you to check how much money you're making with your numbers. And then we're also going to have a DSCR one, but that's probably in the next couple of months.
Dude, that is freaking
But the
awesome.
reason I love that is because if you know going into it all the worst case scenarios, it can kind of help you dictate what you do with that deal. So you have your cash to close calculator, so you know how much money you're bringing to closing, and then you're plugging your numbers into the flip profit calculator and
Yep.
giving yourself 3 or 4 scenarios. Right, you're going to want to do a 6 month scenario. You're going to want to do a 7 month scenario just in case it takes longer to sell. And then you're going to
Get
want to
slapped by the city.
Yeah, and the needle swings pretty quickly. We'll see it when we evaluate Flora, right? Our original numbers compared to the final numbers are drastically different.
Yep.
But because we were conservative when we bought that property, it means that we're still going to make a decent amount of money, even if we quote unquote fire sold that one, because we bought it conservatively, which is the most important thing in
Yep.
being
Yeah.
conservative. So, I mean, let's look at this one and see how conservative you bought it. So I've got purchase price of 44, rehab of 74. So when we churn all these numbers, you're holding it for 3 months. Now that's going to go up. Your
And that
agent fee.
has. So it's already at, I think, 5 months of payments plus selling it. So you're probably 6 to 7, like go 7.
Okay, got 7 here.
Yep. So that knocks you down to
And this
even.
is with utilizing that full 74.
Yep.
So if you have any additional cost to that, you just put it in the rehab. But don't forget this estimated net is with you getting everything out of pocket back.
Yep. Oh, really?
Yeah. So look, if you look at here, your
Oh.
cash at sell, you've got over 20,000 back here.
Oh.
Does that make sense?
It does. So that's like getting my interest payments back plus my
Yeah.
down
That's
payment to
getting
buy.
this is your true net profit. This isn't so basically it's telling you how much money you'd have when you bought the house, like 10 grand,
Yeah.
and it's telling you how much holding
Yep.
expense you had during that period. Then it's telling you cash at sell how much money you're getting back at the title company. But your actual profit is not those numbers because you paid all that money out. Your actual profit is this 1,200 bucks down here.
Yep. Which is what I made, I think, on Honeycut.
100 a
Dude,
year.
that
I
I
mean,
mean, okay, if you're looking at it as like a walk away, then you're like that 20 grand feels like you just hit the lottery. But
you
I
didn't make
do
it. I mean,
see
when it
now.
comes down to getting your CPA and doing accounting, it's going to show that you made it. If you do the accounting correctly, it shows that you made 1,200 bucks.
Yep. Okay,
Okay.
cool.
So that just kind of dictates here. So like if we put it at 135 with 74 rehab, you're getting back 15,000 at closing, but you've lost 3,700 bucks.
Yep.
If you sold it for 160, well then now you're making 20 grand. So that you see the
Yep.
needle swings really quickly.
I know, and that's where we were at because we were going to add that extra bedroom, and then, and it's funny if I, armchair quarterback it, and I'm like, why didn't I just wholesale this thing out of the gate? We got it so cheap, probably could have sold it for 70, 80 grand right out of the gate,
And a lot of times use that in your valuation. There's literally
dude.
nothing wrong with getting a good lead and wholesaling it. If you're going to make 30K on a flip or you're going to make 15K on a wholesale, I would wholesale that thing every single time.
It
Every
doesn't even
single
cross your mind as a new flipper. All you think about, you're so just like focused on budget, flip, all that stuff that, dude, yeah, these opportunities now to like wholesale it or whatever. I'm like, God, if I ever get a property like not from a wholesaler and it's like I straight up get it at the best price, unless you can home run, it's almost best to just wholesale it. Like,
it can be for sure. But
man,
there is deals where you look at where you see the potential when you flip it and
yep,
you make two or three that what you would on the wholesale. Now those are the ones that are worth flipping.
yep,
Or it could be something which is a unique property. Like we have this bar right now who's working on a deal and it's a lot that has 3 houses on it, right? The actual ARV is not going to be, he's actually going to leave about 20K into that deal when he refinances it because of the way the appraisal comes in. But he's able to charge 1,300 bucks per unit.
yep.
So when
So,
he refinances that house, he's going to be cash flowing like 1,700 bucks clear a month.
yep,
And he's only leaving in 20K into that deal. So in 2 years' time, that thing is an absolute monster. But if he would have wholesaled it, he would have had to use the value of the property, the value of that property if they resold it. So I think the most important thing is that every strategy, your flip numbers, your wholesale numbers, your wholesale numbers, your DSCR numbers, and then you churn all those numbers when you get a good lead and you figure out what's the best exit strategy for that deal because there's no two deals which are the same. Every
yeah, and
single
it
deal
changes
will
because like
change.
we bought this in February or I think March, and we were going to add that extra bedroom, that master suite. And so I think we talked about it being worth at least 155 up to 165, which is exactly what he's saying right now, 166 with a 3 bedroom.
Dude, I
And we would
mean,
have been selling it in July. We were 2 weeks away from finishing it before we got hit with the permit stuff.
that's why you do your number. I mean, that's why the numbers look good. So look, if you would have sold it at 166, kept
Yep.
to 74 rehab, and
And the
sold it
months would have
in
been like 3 to 4.
five
Yeah.
months, let's say
Yep.
five.
Now
You
you're at
would have
30.
made 30 grand
Yep.
from the deal. And it's a tiny little house with not much exposure, so it would
Yep.
have been a quality deal.
And it
You know,
was, yeah, the everything was good about it. But okay, that makes sense, dude. I mean, at least I see what I can get back out of it if I do sell it.
that's your break even. Your break even, according to these numbers, at 100, selling it at 140,000, upping this to 7 months.
I think it was 135 was break even or something like that.
Well, you're making a slight loss at 135. So at 140, you're making about 1,200 bucks. At
Yeah,
one,
okay.
getting all your money back. At 135, you're losing about 3,700.
37.
So 140 would be ideal. And again, you got to kind of find out into your numbers of of your rehab. You know, are you going to fully utilize that 74,000 or
Yeah.
not? If you drop that to 70, well, now your 135 is in the green,
All right.
right?
So let's DSCR this thing. Let's turn it into a rental.
Okay, so first of all, what we should do is calculate what do we think it will appraise at? Not what we can sell it at, but what do we think it can appraise at? Do you remember what the original appraisal was? I might have it here. This appraisal.
I know I have it. I got the paid appraisal
I've got it
fee.
right here. All right, so this appraisal was here, 153.
153. Okay.
So this was the original appraisal, 153. So it's again a good number once we put 153 in here,
Yep.
at 5 months, you would have made, more money.
Yeah. 50. Yeah.
So when we're calculating the DSCR, we're going to run it at an 80% rate first to see if it would match the DSCR or it hit the DSCR ratio.
Okay.
So the DSCR ratio that we need to hit is 1.1. Okay. So what is 80% of 153? And I'm just going on the assumption that it's going to appraise for the same. And we could use that appraisal for the new refinance as kind of a um, you know, we send it to the appraiser and
Yeah.
say we were this appraisal, this is kind of what we're shooting for, essentially. Not in so many words, but it's kind of evidence that it did appraise that high. So 80% of 153 is 122 400. The next step we look at is, does this cover the underlying debt? So your underlying debt on this property is 113 265. So it does cover the right.
Yep.
So if this is the new loan, the new 30-year loan, we subtract the underlying debt, it leaves about 9,000, but you're not going to get 9,000 back because you have some closing costs. And also what happens on a 30-year mortgage is they escrow the first few months of principal and interest. And they do that just while they're setting up the note. So you would have 2 or 3 months where you're not paying a mortgage. But most of this stuff, most of that 9,000 is going to be a wash through principal and interest escrow, through closing costs, through title fees. So let's just say it's a rate and term, right? So we'll get a good rate, not doing a cash out here, but doing a rate and term. So then we come over here, and again, we're building one of these, but this is what I like to use. It's called funloans.com. And it just allows you to plug all the numbers in, and let's see if we hit that 1.1 ratio. So $1,300 is your income. Your underlying debt here is 122 400 because that's the amount of the new loan. Interest rates we're seeing right now on a rate and term, you're probably looking at 6.4 right now. It's a 30-year, and we could also do this as interest only. We'll kind of evaluate that if you were trying to build cash flow. And there's some pros and cons of doing partial interest only and not, but we can get into that if you want to. So now what we got to do is we got to figure out what the taxes is. I pulled it up. Oh, I did pull it up, but now it's gone. Do you know what the taxes is?
Nope.
I'm just pulling up the tax roll to see what the taxes is. So your annual taxes is 2,352. So what do you have a calculator?
Yeah.
So what's 2,352 divided by 12?
Gonna be really close to 196 196.
196. Okay. And then insurance, is it, I can't remember, is it in a flood zone?
No.
Okay, so we're probably at it's a small house, cheap house, probably 100, probably 1,500 a year.
Okay.
This is exposing my so 125 a month. There's no HOA, so you more than hit that DSCR ratio. You see down here that calculation.
Yeah.
You're at 1.196. So your total monthly payment to the mortgage company, which would consist of your principal, your interest, your taxes, and your insurance, is 1,086. So your net cash flow is your 1,300 minus the 1,086.62. So you're making $213 a month.
Gotcha. 213,
Yep.
ride this. Well, and that's the other thing is I can't, I mean, yeah, you just ride it out.
You're
Because
not you're,
I'm in
you're not
I'm in
you're
the
not
real
getting a
estate
lot of
world.
the cash back. The cash that you have in the deal is in the
Yep.
deal. I mean, you have your money in the equity, right? Because you have a property which is worth 156,000, and then you've got underlying debt of 122. So you do have, your money is there. It's just, you got $33,000 worth of equity in there, but you're not going to realize that until you eventually sell it.
Yep. And then switch that tab over to interest only.
Yes. So interest only, and you can structure this as like 5 years or whatever, but now you're at 973.80. So we can just do this here, 973.80. So now your cash flow is 326.
Isn't that fucked?
Yeah.
How much interest?
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean,
Or
that's why
how that was like $60 in principal.
yeah, exactly. And sometimes it's good to do it. Like I'm not completely against it. A lot of people mentally think, well, I'm not paying down that mortgage. Well, the
5 years at $60 a month. Shit.
exactly. Exactly. And the way they do that is they don't, it's not like a flat, the amortization schedule is not flat on
Yep.
principal and interest. It's they front load that interest. So they're making all their money at the front of the loan. That's why when you get to the back of your like house loan, the last 10, 15 years, your principal balance is going down fast compared to the first 15. You're not paying anything off. So
Yep.
you can do interest only and make more cash flow and then bank on the appreciation. So if the house appreciates in 5 years, are you going to make more money, by taking more doing interest only and then selling it and going down that route? And it's not a bad way to go too.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's it. I mean, it works. It works at 80%. You're making, if you do interest only, you're making over $300. You got $33,000 of equity, and then you're just riding it until it sells, or you fire sell it at 140 if you can. And at 140, somehow I messed up my calculation. At 140, from what we were doing, is you were making like $1,200, but you're getting your $20,000 back.
Yeah. The top one ARV you have at 4,000. So now 140.
Yeah, that's what was my calculation. I hope it's not worth 14,000. So yeah, 140 you're making. Oh, and we extended the months, didn't we, to 7? So yeah, 140 you make $1,200, but your cash at closing is
20,000.
20,000 plus the yeah. So you got
That's what I
20.
need to think about. Like, do I just want to capture my 20 right now? It's a break even for the business. But
And then you got to
that
look at
allows
it
me to move forward on something, you know?
that too. You got to look at it like with that 20K I got back, can I make more than I would on that $300 cash flow plus the eventual appreciation and that equity when I sell it? Or is that 20K not going to, can I not utilize that 20K as well?
Yeah, because I mean, this market is shit right now, but you're almost like, man, this is when there's some incredible deals too, and you're like, okay, I hold this thing for 3 years, 5 years, sell it for, let's say it goes up now, it's 150s, it's only a 2-1, so it's never going to go like, I mean,
Yeah.
I guess you never know, but like 200 grand, so it's like, or you take that out. I mean, it could, here in, if it turns around, we've been 2 years of a shit market, it could start flying again. And
But on one factor, those cheaper houses in those neighborhoods don't appreciate as fast as
yeah,
the house in Kingwood. So you might see an extra 10K, 15K, 20K on the value, but
switch
it's
that.
not going to be
Yeah.
dramatic. It's not going to be 100K increase in, unless all of a sudden Baytown's the only place to find oil in the U.S. or
Yeah, and then switch that agent fee to like 4%, in case you had to pay one, which is gonna break. It's gonna put you just it's 140 extra. Yeah, so you'll lose 200. But
Yep.
now, how come? Oh, 18,000. I thought it said 8,000.
Where no, that's
The
yeah,
yeah, I was
18,000.
like, oh, why did that? Okay, so yeah, you're still getting about eight. Okay, well, man, that's a lot to think about. I need to probably call that realtor and just and work my numbers with them.
And what you can do is you can list it for both, like, and you can list one higher, the less of a preference than the other. Like you could list this for one
1,500 rent or something.
exactly. You
Okay.
could, one of the two you could list higher, and if you got it, well, then you're in the positive because yeah, if you got $1,500 in rent, right, one, and you did interest only, you're making over $500. Now it starts to get a little bit more attractive. So you could list it for 145, 150 for sale, and then you could list it at the same time on the market at 1,500 in rents and see which one falls first.
Yep.
And then you could kind of make your decision along those lines.
What would you do?
That's a good question. Right now, I would probably sell because I've been selling the rentals off. But if my strategy was to build up a portfolio, then I would rent it. I would lease it. I would try to get a little bit of a higher rent, and I would go interest only. And anytime you're making 300-400 bucks a net on a rental, it's a really solid deal, right?
Yeah.
If you're, my original goal when I got into this was to build up enough rentals to retire off of. And I thought, well, if I can clear $300 per house and buy 50 houses, well, then I'm in pretty good shape,
Yeah.
right? Not only that is it's something I can leave to my children. I'll never sell them. I'll use the tax benefits of those. And then I can, my kids will have an inheritance that they don't have to worry about stuff, right?
And they would
Uh,
hate you. God, I hate all these houses, Dad.
exactly. But Dad, look at all these Bay
No
City
wonder all those
freaking
people sell
houses.
them when their parents give them to them. They're like, fuck, get them out of
Yeah,
here.
exactly. Yeah, we buy houses all the time from kids who inherited a house. They don't want anything to do with
They
them.
don't want anything to do with it.
Yeah, but then your strategy changes along the way, and then I realized that by taking the money and putting it into lending, we make almost as much, and I don't have to deal with the headache of flipping the houses and getting in there, and
Yeah.
you know,
It's true. And I don't think people get that, if you haven't gotten into the flipping game yet, you have a thought of what you think you're going to do. But man, it almost changes flip by flip, house by house. Like your strategies just, but the good news is, I'm now 5 into this. I'm starting to really figure out what you like, where you want to be, what is a good deal, what is a good budget, like that kind of stuff.
yeah. I mean, how many times has someone created a business plan and it actually stuck exactly like
Right.
that? It's going to change every time you do a different property, and you might find a niche that you really like.
Yep.
I've got a guy who only buys mobile homes, and he sells them owner finance, but he buys them cash, right?
Yep.
And he started off as a flipper, and then he got one lucky deal where he bought a double wide for like 8,000 bucks, and then he owner financed it out for 20,000, and he makes a ton of money on it, and that's all he does.
Yep.
So it really just you find your niche and what you want to do. And mine wasn't on the rehab side. I just I found it pretty stressful, but some people love it. Some people absolutely thrive on it, and they love to see the transformation of the house. They
Yep.
like to see that beat up old house look pretty and resell it. They'll take the 30, 15, 20, 30,000 to make from that. They'll put that into something else. So it really just depends on what you want to do.
Okay.
But yeah, if I was building up a portfolio,
Yep.
I don't like how much money you have to park in there because what are your total funds inside that deal are going to be, you know,
20,000.
20,000 bucks. So it's higher than I would like to see.
I mean, that's like just going and buying a house with, a little bit more than 20% down.
Yeah.
So, okay. Yeah, I just got to have that phone call, which I'll do. So,
Yeah.
dude, that's about the clearest picture I could imagine right there. So,
And I always like analyzing the DSCR before I buy a property, even if it was a flip, because if you didn't match this DSCR, the picture could get a lot uglier. You could be leaving a lot more cash in there, because let's say you could only rent this thing for 1,000 bucks or 1,100 bucks. Well, it's not going to cover that DSCR ratio, so you're going to have to lower that underlying debt, meaning that you're going to have to bring more cash to closing and leave
yep.
more money parked in there. So if you ever have a property that you could have an alternative exit if you needed it to, well, this is one of those. There is an alternative exit. Now, it would be nicer to not leave 20K in there. If you could have got the rehab done closer to 50,
Yep.
then it would be a really good deal. And you wouldn't regret it in a few years when you sold it, and you'd be making 500 bucks a month for a few years, and then you sell it and then you cash out. Win-win. That's a home run. But yeah, the 20K is the only thing that I don't love.
Okay. Sick, man. Well, thank you, dude.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So, after digesting, talking to the real estate agent, actually viewing the property, running multiple scenarios, should we all just thank Hard Money Joe real quick? Show him some love down in the comments. Hard Money Joe doing his thing with the numbers. I think at this point, if I can, I'm probably just going to try and get it done, slap it on the market, see what happens. May put a really high rental rate, and then what I'll do too is just put a price on there, probably in the upper, maybe like a 139 or something. Try and just get out of that, maybe get an offer, I don't know, and go that route. So you guys got to subscribe to see what happens with this flip and many, many more. And on the next video, if you want to see more numbers, Hard Money Joe is going to go through our latest project, the big spring house, the new construction. It is almost done, and we are going to crunch every single numbers on that, and I think finally we're gonna hit a profit. So make sure you guys are subscribing, following along. I'm building this house flipping business with my wife from the ground up. So subscribe. And I don't know if you guys remember, I got a lot of new subscribers here. I basically built a little mini course right here. It's all free. It's just YouTube videos put into a playlist. So click on that playlist, watch every single video in order, and that's kind of how you get your house flipping business started. So check out that playlist right there, homies.